blood, sweat, and tears that went into Miami first seasons. You know, I got stories.
You really have to grow your writers on CSI. Nobody gave us that time on CSI Miami to do it.
Our executive producer is Jerry Bruckheimer. And so in our minds, we're all trying to make little Jerry Bruckheimer movies, but on an 8-day schedule.
I think he just answered your question. Small entry wound, upper torso.
Through and through. Callie, please. Take a look at this.
No, I would not say Miami was easier at all, because you still have to remember, when we did CSI, we were learning all of our forensics. And then our actors would take those scripts. They had to learn, and they wanted to learn, and they would work with us.
Looks like a medium caliber.
But people aren't interchangeable, so everybody's got to learn all over again.
Well, the evidence, as always, will speak for itself. I would describe the CSIs, and specifically the Miami show, as a process show. First and foremost, the process of forensic science, for lack of a better term, is the star of the show.
Every episode usually deals with some sort of scientific particular. You have to sort of become an expert in that subject matter, whether it's dealing with a fire, or dealing with, fabric, or dealing with DNA. Every episode is like its own mini science lesson.
Great thing about the nose is it acts like a filter. Everything we breathe gets trapped inside.
There's no way to fake an understanding of what we're doing. We really need to know and have a grasp of what we're doing scene to scene. What's your cause of death?
Exsanguination from a sharp force injury that severed the aorta. I have to do a great deal of research, because in order for it to make sense to me, I have to understand biology, I have to understand medicine. Palatine sutures have fused endocranially and exocranially. So it's one thing if you just read the lines, but I don't think that I could deliver them in a believable way unless someone actually explains it to me, and then I have to go to the medical dictionary, and I do a great deal of research. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. It really is. It's like going to med school.
I really didn't have any experience with guns before the show began, other than just, archery and riflery at camp. The rifling on Abby's bullet is good, but Benita is damaged. I went through ballistics training with the Sheriff's Department in Los Angeles, and now I know more about guns than I ever thought I would.
It's an ongoing process, learning the all of the acronyms, the APHIS and the CODIS, and all of these different databases that they have to run fingerprints.
You getting a hit off of our victim's 10 card?
APHIS.
There's definitely a lot of stuff, but you learn it in pieces, and eventually you kind of look back and like, wow, I learned all of these things. It's pretty cool. I actually learned a little bit of Russian for one of the episodes last year. And they had a coach come in and help me with my pronunciation and help me speak some Russian. That was kind of fun to do.
My character's a trace expert, one of the newer guys, so still working out the kinks.
I'm gonna need to swab under your fingernails.
As far as preparing, I didn't do anything. Well, they have technical advisors to make sure that, you're doing the right thing.
Well, we have such a great team on this set, of consultants, of ex-detectives, and great people to ask how to do everything, how to hold a gun, how to shoot, everything we want to know.
John, as our technical advisor, has been great, and I have picked up a few things that I probably don't even realize that I picked up. Certain ways to collect evidence and preserve evidence.
All the science that you see on the show is based on reality, so it's getting all the preparation right, making sure that the dialogue is correct, and then working with the actors to make sure that they carry it off in the way that it should be.
We are very accomplished actors on both shows. But the CSI ensemble is very different from the Miami ensemble.
David Caruso is such a simple, smart guy.
If you look at Horatio Kane, He's a police officer. He is a cop. You know, it's in his blood, it's in the way he stands.
They are armed and dangerous. Horatio Caine is a man that has tremendous feeling for the victims and their families. He also has an opposite feeling about the perpetrator of the evil that we deal with. He is a gentleman, he's a kind man, but he's the last man in America that you want after you.
I will get out. It's my nature.
And I'll be waiting. That's my nature. The engine that drives Horatio Caine is his feeling for the people. And how he connects with the job is through the people, through the victims and through the victims' families and so on. So his mission is to bring resolve and relief to the setting.
People are going to say a lot of things about your mom and dad, and some of them are going to be true. But what I want you to remember is that they fought like heroes for you.
We participated in an episode where there was a little girl who had been victimized and so on, and it was a super opportunity for her to receive the type of information and hopefully guidance that may provide her with the opportunity to live a clean life. And he has a sense of those things, and I think all of us do.
I haven't seen that smile on your face in a while.
Some personal history there with Horatio that goes back, you know, probably like 10 years before my character got married. They were friends, and Horatio just didn't act on certain feelings. Yelena knew about it, perhaps a little too late. She was married, she has a kid, she goes on, and she has a wonderful life. Horatio has always been there as a family member. Husband dies, and there is, you know, this brother, this wonderful man who's always been there and continues to be there more and more in more levels. And she becomes aware of that. So is it wrong? Is it right? That whole thing is very interesting to play for me and probably very interesting for the viewer.
Your reach, and then you bring it up, you're keeping straight on camera. Don't go profile on it. Okay. You kind of did there. So whatever you need, because we don't really see below you, so whatever you need to do to sort of cheat that. I know you're probably going for the bag or putting the pole down or whatever.
As far as finding the character for Eric Delco, I think the writers, you hang out. We had meetings with the writers beforehand, dinners and drinks and whatnot, and so we all got a sense of each other. And I think once they get to meet you and they know that they're going to be writing for your character, they kind of try and tailor their writing to you, to who you are as an actor or as a person, to a degree. You know, not all of Eric Delco is Adam Rodriguez, but there's plenty of Adam Rodriguez that's incorporated into Eric Delco.
I don't know where this came from. Maybe one of the guys was taking auto shop.
Well, the way I'm playing this character is sort of like he has a job to do, and, you know, instead of the cliche of like he's really excited about the evidence, it's like he takes it like it's a job. Yeah, obviously he's interested in it.
Do you want to do this?
No. It's a guy thing. You know, notoriously on the CSI shows, the character aspect is not as important as the forensics and the science. So I had to search around a little bit for Callie, and I have to say it took me pretty much the entire season of season 1 to kind of figure out who she was and where she was coming from and what she was all about.
Smith & Wesson, Ruger, or Taurus revolver. I've got gunpowder burns with radial tears around the wound. It was something I'd never seen before. You know, you've seen Quincy and all these other shows with coroners, but I'd never seen anyone speak to the dead. Smells like beer. You are much too young to be out drinking, sweetheart. There were episodes that we filmed with children, and those were particularly hard. Because it's true. I mean, this is heartbreaking, but it's true. In this world, children are murdered. But yeah, I think it's a fine line between entertainment and exploiting those type of situations.
A golden parachute, you know, that was a great episode. What they did with the plane and the woman flying out of the plane, and then just being out in the Everglades. And I mean, that was exciting to film because there was debris that they had laid out all over the Everglades. I mean, it was like working on a huge feature film. You know, you were like, this is what working for Jerry Bruckheimer's all about. You know, like it was the real deal, and that was exciting. That was really exciting. Hot as hell.
Great. It's a little chilly out here, man. Waiting for my fur coat.
Not necessarily comfortable. I had a thick wetsuit on for a lot of the time, and you know, there's definitely a lot of sweating.
When I came in to direct the first episode, I sat down with Danny Cannon, one of our executive producers, and Danny was very specific about the Vegas look, and we talked about ideas of how we wanted to make this show similar in terms of look, but also make it different. So working really hand in hand with Danny, we kind of like mapped out our visual strategy for the show.
They've got a Go team flying and they'll be here within the hour.
Small choices go a long way sometimes, like the way of making it a daylight show, putting lots of light in instead of not much light. Also, using wide shots differently, not long lenses way back, but wide angle lenses.
We made a conscious effort to saturate colors. You see a lot of greens, a lot of more amber tones.
All those things made a difference. Plus, you know, you have water, you have crocodiles, you have ocean, you have boats, you have canals, you have everything that Vegas doesn't have. So let's utilize that. By the end of the season of Miami, I think we knew how to handle it.
Good morning, friends. How are you? What a good-looking group of people.
It was through their hard work, and it was through, you know, that difficult birthing period that we managed to have a show at the end that we knew what it was and knew how to handle it, and that the cast knew, you know, they were responsible for and could be proud of.
Once the show's cooking and once you're proud of it and once your actors are happy, then it's always easier. That pressure's off you.
I actually always thought, and I happily was proven correct, that one show would actually be a great advertisement for the other show. I saw that happen with Law & Order. When Law & Order started to be on cable, their numbers went up about their 5th or 6th year. And CSI now is #1, heads above any other show. And I do think it's partly fueled by the other show, by Miami. And obviously, Miami's, all its initial attention was because of CSI.